So I guess for everybody who said, well, if Connor McDavid wants to win so much, he should just sign the same contract for a couple more years. Connor McDavid, shortly before the show hits the air, signs a 2-year contract, AAV 12.5 for both seasons. Cap space galore left for Stan Bowman. Quick peek at Puckpedia, and we'll try to get Hart Levine on, the conceptual genius behind Puckpedia, on to talk about this contract. Projected cap space next year for the Edmonton Oilers, $29.7 million. Projected cap space, 27-28, $48 million of cap space. You know, it was going to be an interesting one from the get-go, and it got, as we talked about over the course of this summer, and we've got a lot of guests coming on, you know, if we can, and we're trying to line up guests here right now, doing this on the fly. It was an interesting one all summer long as we wondered, you know, what the deal was going to look like for Connor McDavid, if there was going to be a deal for McDavid, what kind of comparable would there be for Connor McDavid. And Zach, do you have that Jeff Jackson clip lined up here? Because I want to do our daily outline here, presented by FanDuel, and let you know what's on the program. But I want to have that one teed up because there's a couple of points that I want to make about it, and it's a conversation that I had with Jeff Jackson as part of the On the Road series in Muskoka earlier last 2 months ago now. Daily Outline is powered by FanDuel. Make every moment more with North America's #1 sportsbook. That is FanDuel. Today's program is essentially going to be brought to you by Connor McDavid and the contract extension. Coming up on the program, Colby Cohen from Morning Cup of Hockey will stop by. We'll get his thoughts on the Connor McDavid deal. Bob Stauffer from Oilers Now, noted Edmonton Oilers commentator, and the topic du jour, 97, or should we say 12.5. If you're going to add a fourth and fifth note there, Zach, it would be 97 and then 12.5, because that is the AAV as announced by the Edmonton Oilers themselves on their social media. Zach, do we have the Jeff Jackson clip queued up here before we get to Colby Cohen? I just want to play this really quickly so people can get a sort of sense of how at ease Jeff Jackson, who is, of course, his former Connor McDavid's former agent when he worked at Wasserman, how at ease he was about the entire Connor McDavid situation. Here's Jeff Jackson from this past August.
Than Connor's been, which I never would have guessed.
A little bit, but I tried to tamp that down last June when we were in the finals. I know there was like, you know, if you don't get him signed right away, you're gonna have to trade him. I was like, well, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Like, he has another year. He loves playing in Edmonton, and sure enough, we got a deal done early September with Leon, and I'm super happy about that. So I sort of feel it's the same with Connor. It's not going to be a long negotiation, and it's sort of when.
How quick is that phone call, by the way, or how long is that? How quick is that conversation?
I think that it won't be. It'll be unlike any other sort of negotiation because it's not really, and I think that when Connor's ready, like, we'll have the discussion and we'll get a deal done.
You know, looking back on it now, that is the sight and the sound of, well, Jeff Jackson, the CEO of hockey operations for the Edmonton Oilers, but someone who was confident from day one that Connor McDavid was going to sign an extension. Now, it might not be as long as some Oilers fans may want, but nonetheless, you know now that you're getting Connor McDavid for 3 more years, and you're getting Connor McDavid for a 2-year contract extension as we bring on Colby Cohen from Morning Cup of Hockey. You're getting Connor McDavid, Colby, at 12.5. To me, that was the massive news. It wasn't all the announcements of everyone saying it's close, it's happening. It's the 12.5. And, you know, there was one agent that I talked to a while ago who said, you know, why doesn't Connor just come in like under market value, but then announce to the league basketball style that after this deal, I'm only entertaining 20%. So if you're New York or Boston or LA or whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm only interested in 20%. Anyhow, Colby, welcome back to the program, and initial thoughts on what's been a very strange and interesting last, I guess, 45 minutes in Oilers land.
Listen, it's great for the Edmonton Oilers fan base, and it's great for the Edmonton Oilers. It is terrible for every other player in the National Hockey League for Connor McDavid to take the contract that he did. And listen, he's the best player on the planet. He gets to decide what he wants to do. Everything is personal to every single player. Okay, so yep. I am not attacking Connor McDavid personally. If anything, the guy's a hero to his hometown team. Well, not his hometown team, but where he is a player, and the city that has rallied around him and been a part of his journey to be a superstar. But in my opinion, he hurt every other player in the National Hockey League by taking this contract. He just gave every general manager in the NHL leverage to say, look what Connor McDavid did. There's a number of other players that are looking for contracts right now. Jack Eichel comes to mind as one of them, that you're now giving every other GM the talking point of, well, look what Connor McDavid's contract says. These guys all love to use cap comparables when they can, when it favors them, and they will tell you cap comparables don't matter when it doesn't. I'm a person who always sides with the players in these types of situations, Jeff, and I just think as the best player in the world to take such a steep discount like that, now everybody else is going to be asked to do that.
The one area that I'll disagree with you on this one is, first of all, I will agree with you when it comes to restricted free agents. Then all of a sudden, like the situation with, Kent Hughes and Quartex over at Lane Hudson. Okay, like finding comparables there, like that is very much an issue. But when it comes to unrestricted free agents, like if the Vegas Golden Knights want to look at the Edmonton Oilers and say to Jack Eichel, we're not going to go above 12.5, Jack Eichel can say, okay.
See you later.
There will be a team that will do that. Like that's where I'll push. Like when it comes to UFAs, like once upon a time, and we just, the NHL world just lost, the NHLPA world just lost Bob Goodnow. Like Bob Goodnow would have been horrified at this deal. Like there's no way our top guy gets the top dollar, raises everybody up, period. But that was all pre-salary cap. I look at this one, and I've said it from day one. The McDavid contract was going to be the trickiest because he's going to thread the most interesting needle here, or that's what he was trying to do. One, get enough money so he takes care of himself and feels respected by the Edmonton Oilers. But two, leaves enough money, and this is the second time he's done this because he left money on the table, had to go back and renegotiate his deal to leave money for Leon Draisaitl the first time he did his extension. So he's now done this twice. Leave more money for Stan Bowman to go out there and complement this team. Maybe find someone else for Connor to play with. Maybe find another goaltender. All of a sudden, that and then in the back, what you're talking about, the pressure of being the top player in a sport and knowing that a lot of guys will be looking at you to take the big dollar here because it's gonna raise everybody else up. But to the point about other free agents, if Jack doesn't like it and Vegas wants a hold at 12.5, Jack can say, fine, I'll go home to Boston. I'm pretty sure the Boston Bruins will go over 12.5. That's where I'll push back on that one.
Listen, and for sure, I think the Bruins would move mountains to get Jack Eichel to come play, in the West End in the great city of Boston. But, look, I look at this situation and, one of the things that we've talked about here is as these salaries go up, do we lose the middle class, right? Is it the $17 million Kaprizov contract and the $775, league minimum? Like, do we, are we?
That's where this has been going from day one. The first thing that people said about the salary cap was it pits player against player, absolutely. And two, this is going to lead to the diminishing of the middle class. I agree with you completely on that one, Colby. Absolutely.
But I just look at, again, I'm looking more at how fan bases so quickly turn on players and say, well, you should take less. And I look at all these other situations. I saw the report that, David Peñata said on your show, actually, where Noah Dobson decided, I want to make it work here, so I'll leave money on the table. I know they're asking Lane Hudson now to do the same thing and say, well, you might be worth X, but can you take a little bit less to fit everybody else? And I will continue to sit here and I will continue to say, why not have a luxury tax? Why not find a way to make these contracts a percentage of the cap, as somebody tweeted to us, and we feature that on our show this morning, Morning Cup of Hockey. Like, get creative here, move away from a triple hard salary cap, and stop asking players to take less money. And I have a question for you, Jeff, because I assume you would have a much better idea of this than I have. What are Connor McDavid's endorsement deals like? Do you have any idea in the range of how many millions of dollars he earns in endorsement deals?
I don't know an exact number, but there are plenty. Like here in Canada, there are plenty. Whether it's banks, previously with a significant gaming company, like there are a number of endorsements that Connor McDavid has here in Canada. Now, it pales in comparison when we look at other sports. When we look at football, or we look at baseball, or we look at basketball. It pales in comparison. But yes, Connor McDavid is featured quite prominently, specifically with one significant bank. But yeah,
is it fair to say he makes $10 million a year in endorsements? Is that
I don't know.
fair?
I don't know about 10 million. That seems rich to me. Again, I don't know.
All right.
That's a
and I have no
Wasserman.
idea. Like I don't know if it's $1 million or if it's 50 million. Like I have no concept of what his endorsement deals are like. And the reason I'm asking you this is because that's the thing. Like for him, if he is the highest paid endorsed hockey player in Canada, that would, again, I'm guessing here, it affords him the opportunity to take a little bit less money and still be well taken care of, and his family and his next generation. I don't know. Like I've been yelling and screaming that players shouldn't take less. Owners should pony up more dollars, and I'm going to stay firm with that. And I just would have liked to seen him take more money. That's all.
So a couple of things there. One, I don't disagree with you. One of the things that I really don't like, I was saying this on the show last week, Colby, two things happened coming out of the 2005 lockout. One, the players accepted a salary cap. And two, somewhere along the way, all of a sudden, they've decided as well, and I don't know how they got hoodwinked into doing this, that it's their job to manage the cap too. It's not your job as a player to manage the cap. It's your job to play, get as much money as you can. Now, having said that, I don't like telling people and perform. And I don't like telling people what to do, though. If Connor McDavid wants to go in at 12.5 and he's good with it, I have a hard time sitting here saying he shouldn't have done that, because Connor McDavid has this drive. Like, listen, he's going to the Hall of Fame already, but in his mind, he's still fallen short because he hasn't won the Stanley Cup, and he's giving this team the best possible chance with him in the lineup to win the Stanley Cup. And even now that I think about it, he's also given himself something here, and that is an exit strategy that nobody can criticize.
Yeah.
And I just want to repeat, I came in under value. I came in under market value to give us a chance to win. He could be 3 more swings at the ball here with Connor McDavid at the plate. I'm coming in way under market value, and then after that, all bets are off. But he's given himself an opportunity to have a graceful exit.
I just want to repeat it, just because the pitchforks will definitely be coming for me. I want to just repeat it. When I started this whole thing, I said, this is the best player in the world on this planet.
Yeah.
He deserves to do whatever is good for him, and he deserves to call whatever shot is good for him. All I'm saying here is I'm agreeing with what you're saying. He gets to make a decision. We don't get to decide what anybody else does except for ourselves. We obviously, those of us who have children, we get to make decisions for them to a certain extent. We have our families where we come together, we talk about things, but we don't get to decide what's good for anybody else. And I am respectful of that in the fullest manner. But I also get to come on here and have my opinion, and my opinion is this contract is bad for other players, right? Both of those things can be true. I respect the hell out of this guy for the warrior and the athlete and the ambassador and his skill and his talent, but I still can come on here and say, I don't like the contract. I don't like what it does to the other players. I don't like the pressure it puts on other players now, because fan bases turn on players so fast before they turn on owners. Whenever these contract negotiations get sticky and players want a little bit more and they hold out or whatever, the fans come for the players' throats so quickly. Look how they treated Jeremy Swayman last year when he held out for a little bit. Look how the organization treated him. The things that they said, all of the above are true. So I just feel like all this does is give more leverage to that crowd, to those managers, than I would have liked to have seen, right? So both of those things I feel could be true, but I appreciate what you said, and that led me back to reiterating the fact that he got to make his decision, and I respect that wholeheartedly. but I just disagree with it. Shocker.
It's and a contrarian view from Colby. What? Here on the sheet? Oh my goodness! It does it on Morning Cup of Hockey as well. Glad to have you back. Listen, it's tomorrow's going to be a spicy one on your show. I'm sure. I'm curious what. I mean, your point is very well made. I'm curious what Laz has to say about this one as well. I'm sure he had fantasies of #97 dancing to the New York Rangers on July 1st.
His heart's broken.
So
and Zach Phillips' heart probably a little broken today as well.
Oh, Nick Elberga, keep going. He had the countdown going, like all the Leafs Nation crew, like all of it, 100%. The thing that I find curious about it, I mean, essentially Connor McDavid came in and said, "Give me 2 more of the same. Give me 2 more years at $12.5 million." I know that everyone's journey for the contract negotiations is different. Everyone's has, different side roads that they go down when they do their contract negotiations. I'm just curious about how this one went down and if it was exactly as, I'm not sure if you saw the Jeff Jackson clip before you came on, but essentially Jackson was saying like, it's not going to be a conversation. And like there's how many players in the history of the game that don't negotiate? Like Connor McDavid doesn't have to negotiate. Connor McDavid will tell you what he wants. And if you don't want to pay that or agree to those terms, then okay, there's no Connor McDavid. You can count on one hand the amount of players that can do that. If at the end of it was 12.5 times 2, why did it take so long? Like I have no theories about this other than Edmonton just waited and Connor wanted to be in a place right before the season, I suppose, wanted to make sure that everybody was cool with this, whether it was his family, whether it was his agency, Wasserman, which is a whole other kettle of fish here too. When you talk about, raising the tide for everybody here, there's also the agency side. And I made a lot about how agencies, like you look at CAA, I'm sure they weren't, thrilled that Nathan McKinnon was the best value contract for the longest time. And right now, Jack Hughes may be the biggest value contract and leaving money on the table, etc. Maybe it's just Connor wanted to make everybody in his orbit comfortable with all of this. And then that's the reason why it took so long. It's the only thing I can come up with.
Listen, I not only did I see the clip you played, I remember when you did that episode during the summer with that series. You know what I mean? As you were kind of moving around and you kind of were giving sneak peeks of all the different conversations that you were having on the road series that you did. And it's a bold strategy, though, because you saw what happened in Minnesota where an owner came out and said it's really whatever he wants. And how much did that paint Bill Guerin into a corner when we finally saw the number that Kirill Kaprizov got, right? So it really is an interesting way. You really have to know a guy and know their core values. And obviously Jeff Jackson has that rapport with Connor McDavid. Yeah. But it's a bold strategy to go about that in any type of negotiation. And it doesn't always work. But here, checkmate for Jeff Jackson. He knew what he was doing. And ultimately, the Edmonton Oilers and Connor McDavid now, they look like superheroes right now.
That is such a great point, Colby. We were looking at it up until it was just 20 minutes into this conversation. We were looking at it in terms of like, what is this going to mean for Jack Eichel? What is this going to mean for Kyle Connor? What is this going to mean for Adrian Kempe? Like, et cetera. Go right down the list. Maybe one of the more salient points is here, what does this mean for the Minnesota Wild? In one very particular way. You had 2 teams that had pretty much the exact same strategy. You're right about Craig Leopold last year. No one can pay him more, and we're going to. Paraphrasing Craig Leopold, but that was the vibe that he gave about Kirill Kaprizov. And I know I'm talking out both sides of my mouth here because on the one hand, I'm saying good on Kaprizov for doing that because it's not his job to manage Bill Guerin's cap. It's not his job. Nowhere in his contract does it say, oh, and by the way, you have to help me manage the cap. I assure you it says that. It doesn't say that anywhere in his contract. But here we are with the Edmonton Oilers and Jeff Jackson, CEO of Hockey Operations, essentially saying the same thing. Whenever Connor's ready, he's going to tell us what he wants. What does it say about, does this fall on, like, is there any blowback now to Minnesota and what happened there? Or is it just a study in 2 different players who wanted 2 different things?
They're so different. The situations really are so different, even though there's shades of similarity in the way that the sort of negotiation, or as Jeff Jackson said in that clip, there is really no negotiation here.
Yeah.
I also think as good as Kirill Kaprizov is, there's only one Connor McDavid. You've said that. We all say that. Like, he sits on the throne, and then everybody else is somewhere below. And you can argue who's 2, who's 3, then who's 4 and 5, and these little clusters of superstars. But McDavid is truly the best player on the planet. His situation had to be handled differently. I personally believe that he, just like everybody said, he woke up today and just decided, I'm good with this. I'm not going to go long term, and I don't want to talk about this now for more than the next day or two with everybody else. This is the quintessential superstar hockey player. Whatever's bigger than a superstar, whatever the next word would be. But this is hockey in a nutshell. You have players that are thinking we, not me. It's what sets us apart from all the other major professional sports and all the cultures and all the other major professional sports, is that you are a we culture. You are not a me culture. And Connor McDavid, with the ultimate we move, leaving tons and tons of money on the table that he'll get, right? I mean, look, could disaster strike? Yeah, it could happen to anybody, right? We don't expect that to happen. But ultimately, I think many things can be true, Jeff. By the way, the beard and the whole goatee setup,
like that,
it's working for you big time. I'll throw that out there.
My wife calls it chick repellent.
Well, that's probably a good thing for her, right? I mean, she's probably maybe some gym teacher vibes I'm getting here.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Especially the salt and pepper too. Yeah, it's good.
High-end gym teacher vibe. Let's just say that. We're talking gym teacher at a private school, not a public school. Okay. But anyways, this is it's certainly given us a lot to talk about here for the next couple of days. And again, like, does everybody now freak out? And does the Eichel thing now sort of like, does the timeline get slower or does it speed up? Like, what dominoes fall from this, and what type of connection and fallout come from this? And that is what's going to be fascinating to see here over the next maybe even 12 hours, Jeff.
That's a great one. Here's another one. Did Connor McDavid, because right away, like, I got the text, I'm sure you got the text, and then your timeline on social media is filled up with it as well. Did Connor McDavid did he just sort of start a clock on him with this one? And the default answer for a lot of people not in Edmonton are saying, yeah, there you go. There's a Connor McDavid countdown clock. Again, we don't know it. I think a lot of people feel it because he's come in at such a deep discount. But does it feel to you like Connor McDavid has started a countdown clock?
It actually doesn't. Like, I have seen that now all over social media. That's like they have 3 years to win a Stanley Cup. I don't believe that to be true, because if they go out and they build really good teams over the next couple of years and they're competing for a Stanley Cup every year, I think Connor McDavid will turn around and sign another extension. To me, this does not make it more likely that he leaves Edmonton after 3 years whatsoever, because I think ultimately he's going to continue to call his shots. He's going to continue to assess the situation. He's going to continue to be the best player in the world, and he's going to be continuing to work alongside partners, right? How often is a player an actual partner with a GM or an owner? And Connor McDavid is a partner for these guys. You're not going back and forth. You're not talking down. You're literally working with a partner, and very few players in the National Hockey League have ever achieved that status, probably will ever achieve that status. I think you see it more in other sports because these players go back to Tom Brady or go look at some of these quarterbacks in the NFL that make $65 million a year, whatever the number may be, Jeff. So I don't think there's any clock here. I think all he did was said, you know what? Comfortable with 3 years. I'll reevaluate in a year and a half, 2 years, see where we're at, see how Stan Bowman's doing, and we'll continue to move from there. But I do not believe anybody has any room or reason to worry that it was only 3 years if you're an Edmonton Oilers fan. I really don't. I don't think the time of the contract will dictate that whatsoever.
So now, and Jake Wallman, by the way, has extended. That is how they got Jake Wallman. Still feels like a heist to me, but nonetheless, I felt the same way about the San Jose Sharks. Like them a lot. Now, when you look at the
contract, by the way,
it's a very. First of all, I'm happy for Wallman. I know how things specifically right at the end that I think he may have bought in a house like a couple of weeks before he got moved too, which is just always awful. Just the way that things ended in Detroit, how things went, going from San Jose to the Edmonton Oilers organization, to the Stanley Cup final. But right now, the Edmonton Oilers with these last two contract signings, they haven't improved as a team today. They've extended their winning window, but they haven't improved today. As we stand right now, we haven't dropped the puck on the regular season yet. Where do you see the Edmonton Oilers? Like, there's a lot of momentum for them, obviously, going into the season because of the McDavid extension. But, man, Vegas is going to be a problem this year in the West. They are going to be a big problem. Colorado and Dallas are going to be problems. I know the Winnipeg Jets lost Ehlers, but still, they're probably going to be a problem. Connor McDavid's re-ups for 2 more years, but the Western Conference is looking like it might just be the better conference again.
100% agree with you. And I'll tell you why I look at this roster and there's so many people that are like, well, Savoy and Isaac Howard are the keys to the Edmonton Oilers this year. And I'm like, well, geez, like, I don't know how fair that is to look at 2 guys with, little to no NHL experience and say that they're going to be the keys. You want to know what the key to the Edmonton Oilers is going to be? It's going to be the health of their superstars. They're going to win with their superstars, or they're going to lose. Let's remember, okay? Ekholm injured last year, missed a lot of time late in the season, missed a bunch of time in the playoffs. They had the goaltending situation going where, you get a good regular season and then a not good regular season and then a good regular season and a not good regular season. So that's going to be, to me, the biggest question mark. I think, do I see them winning their division? Probably not, because I don't think that matters to them. This is a team that wants to be playing well late in the year, okay? And you have Connor McDavid, who has talked all summer in all of his media addresses about shooting the puck and scoring more goals. That is a scary thing for the rest of the National Hockey League, that this is a motivated Connor McDavid to score more goals. Everyone is on notice. I think this team will be fine. I think Stan Bowman is not a guy who sits on his hands, so I think they will continually look at opportunities to improve this team. I do think at some point you'll get some level of contribution from Savoy and Howard, whether that comes early, medium, late. We'll take a look and we'll monitor that situation. But my expectations are, when you've got Connor McDavid and you've got Leon Draisaitl and you've got, Bouchard and Ekholm and Wallman, this team is going to ride or die with the health of their superstars, Jeff. And if it's healthy, expect to see them playing late into the summer.
When you look around the rest of the league, and this was supposed to be the year, and there was some turnover, like Mitch Marner to Vegas is the big one. A lot of players stayed in the same place. Hockey is a very conservative place. People don't like to move their stuff. My stuff is here. I'm going to stay here. When I used to work with Bob McCowan at the Fan, he used to have the great saying, and I always talk to him about contracts and what to do, and grass is greener here and all that. And he'd always say the same thing: don't fuck with happy. If you're happy, find a way to stay. If you're happy, find a way to stay. That was always Bob McCowan's advice to everybody, to everybody at the station. But are there teams for you, really quick? Because I want to get your thoughts really quick on Gavin McKenna before I let you go. Are there any teams that you look at and say they significantly improved?
Like, on paper, I mean, I don't know, like Montreal, you add Noah Dobson, who I'm a huge believer in. So you add a bona fide top 4 guy, you're a team on the rise. But it's really one massive, add. I mean, Bolduc certainly helps them get better.
I love that move. I love that move, Colby. I love Bolduc. I think that's a sneaky great move.
I mean, he's almost a 20-goal rookie season, right? And with somewhat of a limiting role. No, that's the thing, Jeff. Like, nobody went out and did anything crazy. The biggest addition to another team is Mitch Marner, right? And me personally, People are asking me this question: is Mitch Marner going to win a Stanley Cup before the Toronto Maple Leafs? Yes, I believe so. I think Bruce Cassidy will get Mitch Marner into his orbit, and they will figure out a way to get what you're getting out of Jack Eichel and the gamer that Jack Eichel has become under Bruce Cassidy, with the accountability that Bruce Cassidy holds players to. I think we're going to see a whole nother level of Mitch Marner this season. And this is a guy who had 102 points last year, not some schlub that can't play hockey, right? So other than Vegas, like, who did anything earth-shattering? I don't think so, right? So that's why I think Edmonton is right in the mix to continue the path that they've been on.
Okay, Gavin McKenna, we are all watching this weekend against ASU. That first pass that he made on, like, in front of the net, draws everybody in, freezes a defender, freezes the goaltender, and then slides it over, is a thing of beauty. The one-timer was gorgeous.
Second one for me, though. It was the
You were talking about that today,
did.
the second one. But you know what? I looked at that one, Colby, and I said, some players do well with more time and space. Some players do well when they just react and don't have to think. And, like, I remember I would think about someone like Raffi Torres. Like, when he played, if you gave Raffi Torres time and space, he wouldn't be as effective as he was when he was just relying on his instincts. And then he was really good, like in a crowd, a lot of bodies around. McKenna does both. Does both, and we saw it against ASU.
Yeah, it's that's the thing, to go right into the highest danger area in your first game. And what makes that play that he had on his assist, on the second assist that he had, it wasn't a second assist. It was just his second assist of the game. What makes that play so special is that you're surrounded by sweaters from the other team, okay, in a league that is going to be a lot more physical than what you've just come to, right? So right then and there, you have a player that you know has courage to go into the hardest area of the ice and perform. The puck is bouncing, okay? He is a type of player that knows where all other skaters are on the ice at all times. To have the hockey IQ to make that play on a bobbling puck in high danger when I'd say 99.9% of the players in the NCAA or even the National Hockey League shoot that puck, okay? But not him. He knows where everybody is. He's got eyes in the back of his head. He's surveying the ice and processing the game at such a higher level than everybody else that he just puts that one on a tee. I think it was for Serrato on that play. And it looks so easy, and I bet a lot of people just kind of thought the other one was the more highlight reel play. That play right there was a holy shit moment for me for Gavin McKenna. Now, I just want to say one other thing, Jeff.
Sure.
His debut, 2 assists, -1, I believe, played a bunch of minutes, they win the game. I just want to throw this out there. Macklin Celebrini, 1 goal, 1 assist, plus player in his debut at Boston University. I just want to throw that out.
Always got to big up the BU guy. Yeah, I get
Always.
it. Yeah. Just
Come
deal
on,
with it. Penn State's a hockey school now. Here we go. Come on, you just got to deal with it.
I love it. I love what Guy Gadowski's doing. It's unbelievable for the game of hockey what Guy Gadowski and Penn State are doing. They play this Thursday on the Big Ten Network. So if you've got the Big Ten Network, you can watch Gavin McKenna play this Thursday as well against Clarkson. Which is going to be a big, strong, heavy team, not as skilled as ASU, but it's going to be a team full of 24, 25-year-olds who can skate. It'll be physical, but it'll be in Hockey Valley at State College. That place will be sold out to the brim. Get Big Ten Network if you can get Big Ten Network in your streaming package and watch this guy play for Penn State.
Special, just special. All right, boy, doing double duty. Welcome back to the network. I know you were on last week, and now right back at it with Morning Cup of Hockey. Every morning, 9 o'clock Eastern. Johnny Lazarus and our guest Colby Cohen. Thanks, bud. Great hat, by the way.
You're the best. Yep. Can't wait to watch Bob Stauffer on here, by the way. I'll be sticking around. He's
coming up here in about 20 minutes time. In the meantime, we're going to shift gears a little bit here and talk to Andrew Raycroft from Morning Brew, along with Billy Jaffe, also a hockey analyst from Nesson. Want to talk about Zdeno Chara. But Andrew, as we bring you on here quickly, the big story of the day Andrew Raycroft joining me now. The big story of the day is the Connor McDavid contract extension. On the one hand, once upon a time, the biggest stars better have the biggest contract. Connor McDavid said, nah, I'll just take the same money for 2 more years and keep this window extended here. Quick thought on what we saw this morning from Connor McDavid, best player in the world at 12.5 AAV raiser. Bob Goodenow rolls over in his grave.
My first thought, Jeff, was Bob Goodenow and what it would have been like had Wayne Gretzky signed a deal like this in 1997 and the heart attack you would have nulled and voided. It just wouldn't have happened. But different times, different place, different world. I think last week was pretty telling with the signing of Kirill Kaprizov. I was on NHL Network with Goalie, and the light bulb came on in my head that this is why Connor was waiting, that Kirill was getting close, that Kirill was pushing the number for the National Hockey League. He was going to let him do the work, him get this salary up, and then Connor would come in behind before the season started, take the hometown discount, make it nice and short, make a push for the Edmonton Oilers for a few years, and go from there. And that, for me, explained why Connor was slow playing this a little bit.
It's an interesting, I'm of a couple of minds here. One, I don't like to tell people what to do with their business. Connor McDavid wants to come in at 12.5. I don't have a fainting couch about that. Like, he wants to do that, and go for it. If Kirill Kaprizov wants to shoot for $17 million, bless you. It's not your job to help Bill Guerin manage his salary cap. It's just not. The thing that impresses a lot of people about McDavid, though, is that we've always known that the superstars put the premium on winning. And I'm sure you've talked to a lot of people who have said the same thing that they have told me, which is, well, if he really wants to win, just take the same contract and leave money for other players, another winger for him. Is he going to get his Yari Curry? Is he going to get his Grant Fuhrer? Is he going to get his goaltender? And he can do that by leaving money on the table. So seldom does it happen, though, Razor. And there it is.
No, and because even, and I guess for me, I see Connor looking at Sid or Patrice Bergeron, for that matter, more so than the other superstars. It's different. It's a different superstar. I don't know what the next word up from superstar is. You're much better at words than I am, Jeff, so you probably have one.
Super duper star.
There you go. That's why I called on you. It's the
So
super
smart.
duper star. That it doesn't. Money's irrelevant.
Yeah.
It's completely irrelevant, and that's why had he signed for $25 million, Jeff, it wouldn't affect the rest of the league either, or $5 million, or like Sid's not even a number, right? No one compares themselves to 8.7, and now no one's going to compare themselves to 12.5. So. Couldn't agree more. These players are entitled to do whatever the heck they want to do. Their careers are short, and they can get as much money or as less money as they want. When it comes to the super duper stars, their thought process is on a whole different level.
Well, we're talking about greatness here. I want to pivot away from Connor McDavid. Bob Stauffer is coming up from Oilers Now, coming up here in a couple of more minutes. We'll get back on the 97 page with a 2-year contract extension. Going into today and today's show, Razor, I thought, okay, there's 2 big topics. One, there's what we saw between the Florida Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning. All of a sudden, that's off the menu, but Chara still is. And the jersey retirement. I have the softest spot in my heart for this guy. I have all the time in the world for Zdeno Chara, both the player and the person as well. And let me shoot you one of my crackpot theories. I always felt that the trophy that Zdeno Chara never won, that he should have won, maybe every year, was the Lady Byng. Because if he wanted to, he could have destroyed this league. But this monster chose not to. If that is not the definition of the most gentlemanly player in the NHL, I don't know what is. I could destroy every player on every team. I'm choosing not to. That, to me, gets you the Lady Byng, and Chara for all those years was ripped off. Agree or disagree?
No, I do agree. I hadn't thought about that. I thought honestly, I thought you were going to go to MVP. Because playing against, go ahead.
I was going to say, the reason I would go that way is because he sets a work rate, much like Crosby does, that everybody on the team, and Bergeron did the same thing, sets a work rate and a pace and a tempo that I don't care if you're a rookie or if you're a veteran, you're embarrassed not to at least try to hit. You know that. You're in NHL for a long time.
100%. And being back in Boston, I'm around those guys quite a bit. And Bergie will be the first to tell you that he learned a lot of that from Z. Bergie was still just 21 when Z showed up. Of course, 37 caught up real quick and was keeping pace with the big man. But it was Zdeno that brought that to Boston in that free agent signing. But just to go, the dominance of Zdeno Chara, the MVP, there is no way there's a Stanley Cup in 2011 without Zdeno. I mean, that Vancouver team, the shutting down of the Twins, the shutting down of that entire offense was nuts. How much he dictated play. You just brought up what energy he brought to his team, but also what he could do in a game, let alone the culture that he built, but the culture during a game, how he could change that with deciding to grab somebody by the throat, or with his shot, or with him going to the front of the net. He evolved his game in such an amazing way. He really will continue to get better as his career ends. I think we'll look back and it'll be Lidstrom and Zdeno at that era of the top defensemen from 2003 to 2013. Like, that era was all about Lidstrom and it was all about Zdeno.
Yeah, a couple of really interesting points about Chara and Bergeron specifically. That 2011 team, I can't remember the numbers specifically, but I think it was like something insane, like 70% or something. The possession, like when Bergeron and Chara were on the ice together, the possession numbers were like we've never seen. Like, Razor, nobody else touched the puck. Like nobody, like those two guys could play with. No one else came near touching the puck. The other thing that always as kind of interestingly stood out to about Chara to me is, as dominant as he was, shift in, shift out, it was like a couple of times a year, he just had to get a fight out of his system. Like, remember when Dave Lewis coached and Dave was like, "No, you're not fighting"? And like Chara was like a different guy. He just like needed to get it out of his system. Like, just let me have one, or let me have two. You know, much of the chagrin of the David Coaches of the NHL, which was just absolutely horrifying. But he just it's like, okay, I got to get this out of my system, and then I can go back to playing hockey. Like, he had that side to him. Like, just let me cleanse myself here with a scrap.
Yeah, and I think he did it also just to make sure everybody knew this was possible as well. He wanted to keep the league on edge every couple of months. I stood. Poor Skillsy, one of my best friends in the world. I stood 5 feet away from Z and Skillsy going at it in the old Fleet Center one afternoon, and when Z was still in Ottawa, and Skillsy had to do it because they were the same height, but had no chance. And you know, we laugh about it now. He laughs about it now, but that's what Zdeno did. He dictated the league and put everybody on point by doing that every couple of months.
Yeah, he interestingly enough, he never got 60 points. Never got 60 points in a season. You know, like Torrey Krug would be on the blue line of the Bruins. He'll get 60 points. Yeah, no problem. And then, but Chara, who's like so incredibly dominant. Well, here's another one. Like, you watched him come through, whether it was Islanders, whether it was Senators, he hit his stride with the Boston Bruins. And like, he started to really distinguish himself as like, this is a guy that's going to be an all-star every year. He's going to win hardest shot, and he's probably going to go to the Hockey Hall of Fame. I remember talking to people in Prince George, Stan Butler, who was his coach, and Stan saying to me, I have no idea what I'm going to do with this guy, but I'm scared to let him fight for what he could do, but he is like so raw. And we just watched a guy like go through an NHL career and kind of figure out how to play in the NHL. Because if you saw the guy that played for the Islanders, that's not the same guy that lifted the Stanley Cup for the Bruins. We watched them all grow up. We watched them all.
No, and that's what's so, I think, endearing. And so as a player playing in the league and knowing how hard it is to evolve, just how much respect he gets because of that. Because it got hard to play at that size too, right, Jeff? Like, in the in the 2000s before the lockout, you that was a real benefit. But as his season or as his career progressed, that got harder and harder to keep up. But he did, and his footwork got better as he got older. His ability to close plays, his reads got better, his stick got better. So, I played against him when he was in the Islanders, when he started to bloom in Ottawa. With the Leafs, we played each other 8 times a year, and then Boston and Ottawa 8 times a year. And then you're right, when he came to Boston, he took over the C, which was part of the deal of him coming here. He got out of the Marian Hossa, the Wade Redden spotlight, and it was him. And he got to push the pace here, and it turned him into a Hall of Famer. But it was his perseverance and his evolution as a hockey player that got him to this point.
Were you on that Maple Leafs team? This is one of my favorite highlights that I've ever seen.
No, I wasn't. That was Eddie. I know where you're going.
The timeout where he just skated in the middle of it? So the Maple Leafs call a timeout, and they're over by the bench, and Chara just skates into the middle of the Maple Leaf circle, and nobody does a thing.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to stand here, so what are we talking about here, everybody? Honestly, it's the funniest thing I ever saw.
That goes to your Lady Bing point, because instead of that night, he wanted to push the pace. He wanted to enforce himself, but he decided not to beat anybody up. He decided not to grab Caber that night. He just decided to do it that way.
I just wandered right into the scrum. That was hilarious. Closing thought, and by the way, Zdeno Chara, jersey retirement, January 15th against the Seattle Kraken. 33 goes to the rafters where it well belongs. How do you see the Boston Bruins this year? I know it's a big question for only the couple of minutes that we have left with it, but like, how do you see the Boston Bruins? Everyone's, they're out of it. They're on the decline. They look at Swayman's going to have a bounce back season. Charlie McAvoy is still elite. David Pastrnak, we all know. And I say there are other issues down the middle, but you're closer to it than I am. How do you see the Boston Bruins?
No, that's the way I see it as well. I think, it was so bad at the end of last season, but what gets lost in all of that was they were in the playoffs the 2 days before the Four Nations tournament started, before Charlie McAvoy got hurt, and that was without Hampus Lindholm for 30 games. So, and they had the same, Elias Lindholm did not hit the ground running last season. They had issues up the middle, but they were kind of hanging around. So I see it again that way. I think what makes it hard for me to really predict is I'm not really sure I know the Atlantic Division is supposed to be really difficult, but I'm not really sure what it looks like. Now with Florida, Barkov, Tkachuk, Marner's not there. Is Montreal really better? Or are they more, take a step? All of these teams. So, boy, in relation to the Bruins, it comes down to 3 things that weren't very good last season that are synonymous with the Bruins, and why Marco Sturm came back to bring it back is special teams. From the time I've covered them, they've been in the top 5 in both power play and penalty kill. Last year in the bottom 5 in both. That should get better. Defensive zone, neutral zone structure. They have worked so hard on that in camp. They are so much more organized and structured than they were coming out last season. I think that's worth a few overtime points because they were giving up points by not keeping things tight last season. And then that all parlays into goaltending. You just said Swayman should bounce back. Korpisalo should play a little bit more with the way the season structured, the schedule is. So those are the 3 keys. If they get, depending on if it's 10% better, I think they get in the playoff. If it's 5% better, then they're right in the mix for the wild card. And if it's 2%, then they might not score enough.
So if you're watching or listening to us live right now, we're 10 minutes away from finding out whether the Edmonton Oilers hit the trifecta today, the extensions for McDavid, Wallman, and claim Mikey DiPietro off waivers. Do you think there's any way he gets to Providence? Goalie?
Not with... Well, I do, yeah. I think he does, because the 2 teams that you were kind of... Sir Connor Ingram going to Edmonton right now, that puts a crimp in that. The Tampa Bay Lightning picking up Phoenix Copley. Those teams seem like the ones. The other thing with Mikey's contract, it's 2 years one way. That's typically not something that gets picked up on the waiver wire at the start of a season. Now, there could be a team later in this season that sees him as an option next year. It's just really hard to plan your goaltending for 12 months out. Your third goaltender 12 months out. So I think he's done a great job, but I think the Bruins are going to get lucky at this point to get him through.
I'm just glad that his career is alive and well. I remember watching him rod on the taxi squad with the Vancouver Canucks and saying, like, this guy does. I get the NHL paycheck, but you're killing this guy's development. I'm just so glad that he was able to turn it around.
And he's such a great kid, right? He's such a nice kid. Yeah, they love him here. Him being a pro and him figuring it out last season and going on the run and now having that deal and having some security he's a good guy. It's a good guy, a good story, and he's going to get a chance at some point. He will.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. We'll see what happens here in exactly 9 minutes if you're watching this live. Thanks for hopping on today. I know I was going to ask you about Florida and Tampa. That's got to park for another day or so. You be well. Say hi to Billy for me, and we'll catch up soon.
Thanks, Jeff. Always a pleasure.
Great hat, by the way. Holy smokes.
Yes.
Love that Gord Downey hat, baby. Love it. Okay. Thanks to Andrew Raycroft, Razor from Morning Brew and hockey analyst on Nesson for stopping by the program here today. We're standing by for Bob Stauffer, just getting his camera set up. We're going to get back on the Connor McDavid page. Today signing the 2-year contract extension at a whopping AAV of, squints really hard and doesn't believe what he sees, $12.5 million. You want to question Connor McDavid's desire to win a Stanley Cup? Don't. Okay, really quickly. Our DFO Survivor Pool, the Daily Faceoff Survivor Pool, is officially live. And if you think you've got the hockey knowledge to go the distance, this one's for you. It's a game of elimination, strategy, and a $2,500 grand prize for the last fan standing. Here's how it works. You start with 2 lives. Each round, you pick one winner from the slate of NHL games. But here's a twist. You can only use each team twice throughout the entire contest. Get a pick wrong, that's one life gone. Lose twice, you're out. The pool runs until there's just one person left standing, and that winner takes home $2,500. So, are you ready to outlast the rest? Sign up now at dailyfaceoff.com or hit the link in the show notes. May the best fan survive. You know, if you would have told me that on this day, Monday, October 6th, after what we saw on Saturday, October 4th, between the Florida Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning, and it would take us almost a full hour to mention a single thing about it, I would have said, no chance, something monumental must have happened in hockey. And the thing that we were all waiting for all summer long happened today. And we talked to Colby Cohen about that earlier. We're standing by for Bob Stauffer from Oilers Now, noted Oilers analyst, longtime Oilers analyst, who's seen many players come and go, and many contracts come and go, and many teams and managers and coaches, etc., come and go. The contract extension for Connor McDavid, 2-year, $12.5 million. Bob Stauffer from Oilers Now on Shed joins me now. Noted Edmonton or longtime Oilers analyst Bob Stauffer joins me now. Bob, first of all, were you surprised that it happened today? And were you, I don't want to say surprised, stunned, shocked, gobsmacked, I don't know what the word is, to find out that the compensation was only $12.5 million, removing all doubt about this player's desire to win a Stanley Cup?
Jeff, first of all, my apologies on the technical challenges. I got a new computer.
Oh, no problem.
I'm as illiterate as there is with it. So we're doing everybody a favor not having my face on there. So
Bob, everything I do is technologically perfect. So yeah, yes, no problem.
All right.
Everything I do runs smoothly. What did you make of the deal?
I never pivoted off of, I'll be honest with you, the start of the summer, like coming out of the Stanley Cup final, which was a disappointment, and the Oilers were outplayed in the final 4 games, and we don't need to revisit it. Florida was just better in the final 4 games of the series. I did envision a long-term deal at that time. However, I repeatedly mentioned to our listeners that, remember, Judd Moldaver had Austin Matthews, 5 and 4 year deals in Toronto. Yeah. It is a possibility that it's going to be a shorter term deal. And it probably I did the show until about the middle of August. And I think in early August, I mentioned 102% he resigns. And I gave the number 102%. I never wavered on that. I thought it was a distinct possibility it would only be a 2 or 3 year deal. Mm-hmm. Did I think he'd come in at $12.5 million? No. Am I surprised that the guy's got to be worth, I've seen, like guys like Dom Lucian from The Athletic, who I really like, he says he's worth $19 million. This doesn't surprise me at all. And Connor's level of engagement he's watching everything, okay, and he's well aware and well versed, and frankly, is communicated with in some of those significant moves that happen in the organization from a player perspective. So, you guys were talking about Connor Ingram. You can be well assured that that's a conversation that Stan Bowman likely has with Connor and Leon. So, no, I'm not surprised in the term. Yes, a little bit surprised in the price point. And it's certainly, I mean, you could do the math. If they just match Draisaitl at 14 instead of doing the 12 and a half, that $1.5 million, if you prorate that from day one at the start of next season, that's about $5.5 to $6 million of salary space as it accrues during the year for the trade deadline. So these things matter. And so anybody that knows him knows how focused he is on winning at Edmonton. And I think that desire has never stopped. And I think there's been a great source of frustration that they haven't been able to. Now they've played an absolute wagon the last couple of years. Like, we might look at this Florida organization as, a modern day dynasty. Like, they're pretty good, but the Oilers have been pretty good too. And I think Edmonton's poised to have a really good year. So, not surprised at the term, a little bit surprised at how low the AAV came in at. And not at all surprised that he's fully committed to winning here.
Part of me looked at this, and I'm glad you took us to the Florida Panthers here. Not that I want to measure up, every conversation about the Oilers with the Florida Panthers, but, we all know what's happened the last couple of years in the Stanley Cup final. One of the things, and it's going to change this year with the salary cap in the playoffs, but we've looked at the Florida Panthers and essentially said, you know what, they've been afforded the luxury of one extra top six forward just because of the state tax. And it's almost 100%. As if it feels like this is Connor McDavid. And again, like, I don't want to get, too into the weeds about the motivation here. But, if I look at this situation, I say, one, it's obvious that Connor McDavid is, desperately trying to win a Stanley Cup here with the Edmonton Oilers. He feels this is his best chance to win a Stanley Cup. But two, it's almost as if Connor McDavid is saying, okay, you have your no state tax. You also, here in Edmonton, I'll come in at a deep discount. Because what he's done is he's afforded Stan Bowman now a luxury that other teams that don't have state tax has at the same time. Oh, you can bring in another top six forward, no problem. Yeah, Edmonton's getting I think you know where I'm going at here. Edmonton's getting Connor McDavid, the best player in the world, at $12.5 million. What I'm saying is, I wonder if part of the motivation in the back of his head is, I'm going to use my contract to try to level the playing field. I don't know if any other players done that.
Yeah, well, I mean, and it's funny, right? Because people said, "Oh, McDavid has an obligation to the NHLPA."
No, you don't.
Like, well, where was that?
No, you don't.
Where was that obligation with
no
Bennett and Marchand and Ekblad? I mean, Marchand said it afterwards. Like, Gary Bettman can say what he wants, but Brad Marchand perhaps saw things differently. We're allowed to have different opinions on things. I won't even get into. You're well aware of how revenue generation and revenue sharing works in the league. Yeah. And most of your viewers right now are probably aware of the fact that the Oilers have been significant contributors for a while. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, go back-to-back Stanley Cups. That's going to continue. So the Oilers are a have franchise. This is not – I used to talk to Cal Nichols almost every day when he was with the Edmonton Investors Group. There were challenges back then. They're simply at a different place. And – yeah, this is one way to level it. And the Oilers have, they're going to be moving picks out, so they've got to be better in Europe and better, especially now with the changes to Major, Junior, and NCAA, better in the NCAA. And there is no salary cap on R&D and research and development. So Stan's building out a team in that regard to help support finding better players. And we're seeing that come to fruition just with what we've seen so far in training camp, preseason. So, look, I might be the eternal optimist, but I do see it the same way you do, Jeff, in terms of what McDavid did here.
It's intriguing. A quick peek at Puckpedia as well. Projected cap space. This year they're right up against it. But having said that, next year projected cap space $29 million, 27, 28, $48 million here.
Yeah, well, and they're going to have to sign a goalie next year because Skinner's up and so is Pickard. And they're going to get an opportunity here this year. But I'm going to tell you right now, I expect this team to be better in the regular season than they were last year. Connor and Leon, in the final 14 games, the Oilers didn't have – it wasn't one game where they were both in the lineup. And that, dropped off from November 7th to February 7th last year. Jeff, the Oilers had the best record in the NHL. they're a pretty good team. And it's funny. I'm going to go back to the Athletic. They ranked Edmonton number 1. They predicted they'd finish with the most points. And they said the Oilers had the best defense in the league, best top 4 in the league. Well, we never saw a healthy top 4 in the playoffs because Eichel missed, all but, the final game against Dallas. And Walman, who might be literally signed officially during the course of this interview. Let me just check to see if this has come across yet. It is going to get announced today on Jake Walman. So, he was dealing with a groin issue last year going into the playoffs. So this is going to be a good team. No guarantees to get back to the final again. It's hard to get there. You got to have lots go right. But the energy that Connor is going to provide to his team to start, that was the other thing. He wanted to start the year better. That's part of the reason why he's playing with Draisaitl out of the gate. 2 poor starts in back-to-back seasons. They don't want to be chasing from day one. They want to have a better start to the year. And this will provide a little bit of positive energy going into the regular season. And they've just announced Walman right now on the 7-year extension.
I was going to say, if you're watching or listening live right now to what Bob is talking about with Bob Stauffer here, noted and longtime Oilers analyst, and of course we listen to him on Chet as part of Oilers Now. Jake Walman, 7-year contract extension, AAV of $7 million. That was flat out one of the best deals of last year. Flat out, full stop. Kind of like Ken Holland picking up Matthias Ekholm. The Walman deal was fantastic.
Well, I guess what I would say with Ken is he had been a reluctant participant in the trade deadline before, but he executed a brilliant trade because there was 3 years left in the term for Ekholm. He even got Nashville to retain a bit. Cost him a couple number 1s. We'll see how they pan out. One of those number 1s was a kid named Reed Schaefer, who was a 32nd overall pick. And then conversely, on this trade with Walman, as you know, nobody had Walman. He was not like all the great trade insiders that, yourself included, that you've worked with over the years. Walman's name was not out there a lot. And so the Oilers, I will give you a harbinger of what might happen carrying forward. So Stan traded a 2nd rounder to get Frederick, signed into an 8-year deal. He traded a 1st rounder to get Walman and has now signed him to a 7-year extension. I fully believe that the Oilers 2027 number 1 will be in play right from day one this year.
Oh, yeah.
It'll probably be for a top 6 forward at some point. They're going to obviously give Savoy an opportunity out of the gate and Isaac Howard, but I could foresee a scenario where that pick is in play at the deadline for a top 6 forward that's got a little bit of term or a guy they think they can extend with a little bit of that cap space that you referred to earlier today.
When, let me, I got a couple of minutes left with you here. Let me ask you about the nature of this deal. And when I spoke to Jeff Jackson in our, Muskoka on the Road series, he talked about essentially it's not going to be a negotiation. Connor McDavid is going to tell us what he wants. And throughout the entire summer and certainly throughout that entire interview, and we all know the background with Jeff Jackson and Connor McDavid, obviously. But Jackson just seems so at peace with all of it. Now, Jax is a pretty, even keel, almost like Zen-like figure now for a lot of people and for himself. He's a pretty laid-back guy when it comes. But considering the stakes of the McDavid deal, to me that was a real tell. Just how calm the CEO of hockey operations, Jeff Jackson, was when he talked about all of this. I don't know how many times, if ever, you've ever seen this, Bob, but you can count on one hand the amount of players that can say, this is no negotiation. This is the number, and this is what I want, and this is what we're going to do.
But he's the only one.
Guys. Yeah.
He's the only one. He's the only one, Jeff. And I'm not surprised that Jackson felt that way, and Stan Bowman did too. And we live in the same building now in downtown Edmonton, so I do see him a fair amount. But he knows what he won 3 different. Yes, he had a core in Chicago, but he had three very different teams that ended up winning. And I don't think there was any. Some people say, well, you got to sign him to an 8-year deal. Why? If anything, we're not sure where the cap's going to be 3 years from now. McDavid has extended a courtesy in a window. And it's incumbent upon Jackson and Bowman to build a team around them, but they've been really close the last 2 years. And, again, you can get into injuries a year ago, a bounce the year before that, whatever the case. They're going to be right there again this year. They're going to have a really good team. Not surprised. And if anybody was going to have a read on Connor McDavid, you would think it would be his former agent, who's probably next to his parents, had the longest adult relationship of Connor's life.
And to close the point that I was making with Colby Cohen, I'm curious how you see all of this, like the timing of all this. Like, it's Monday, October the 6th. They're about to drop the puck on the new NHL season. It sounds very much to me like McDavid wanted to get through the summer. He had this in his mind, him and Judd Moldaver, his agent at Wasserman, and wanted to make sure that everybody in his orbit was comfortable with the decision that he was going to make. Number one, of course, family, agency, team, everybody else around him before he put pen to paper. Is that, based on what you know, is that accurate? Like, that's why it took until October 6th.
Take it one step further. I don't think it's an accident that Wallman has signed a 7-year extension either. If you don't think Jake Wallman didn't talk to Connor McDavid about what his future plans were, okay? I know you got to look after yourself, but Wade Arnott, who represents Jake Wallman, I'm sure at some point Jake needed to find that information out. It's a 2-year deal for now. Go take your run, have at her, see if you can win the cup in the next couple of years, and then reassess when we have a better idea of where the cap's going to be in 3 or 4 years from now. But I can tell you, in oil country today, when it came in under 14 million, people were in shock. They were stunned.
I know.
Right?
Well,
they realized what a solid Connor did for the organization.
And I'll tell you what, and in a lot of ways, the shock framing was all done by Kirill Kaprizov, who turned down the 16 and then signed for the 17. I think everybody, I mean, you're closer to it than I am, obviously. Everyone in oil country said, uh-oh, if Kaprizov's 17, what's our guy worth here?
Yeah. Well, he could have gotten 19. You know that.
Oh, yeah.
He's chosen a different path. Brian Lawton, I'll leave you with this. Brian Lawton, I know you like him. You've had him on before.
Yeah.
He said in March 1st of 24, Draisaitl would be 14 million times 8 years. Now, that's Octagon. Brian was with Octagon.
Yep.
Mike Leo's one of his buddies.
Yep.
March 1st of this past year, 25, he said, Bob, there's no negotiation on McDavid. It's going to be up to what Connor and that agency want to do. That's the reality of the situation. And it's probably going to work out better for you guys than most people realize.
He's right.
Well, somewhat prophetic.
Yep. He's right. He's right. As are you, Bob. Always a pleasure. Be
well.
Enjoy the day that is the McDavid Extension Day in Edmonton. We'll catch up soon.
Thanks, Jeff. See ya. Bye-bye.
There he is, the great Bob Stauffer from Oilers Now, and noted analyst for the Edmonton Oilers going back a number of years. So that was a lot on Connor McDavid, and rightfully so. And we'll still have more conversations about what this means, not just for the Edmonton Oilers, but for the entire Western Conference, what it means for that fan base, what it means for the rest of the NHL, because a move like this, specifically coming in as low as Connor McDavid has come in at, does have a cascading effect on other players and other markets as well. You know, the pressure now to, I don't know about do what McDavid did, or at least demonstrate an ability or a willingness to come in at such a low number based on how great a player he is just to win a Stanley Cup. Again, like, folks, this doesn't happen very often, if at all. We got a lot to get to. A couple of things here. Chris Johnston of TSN reporting Caden Primo has been claimed off waivers by the Toronto Maple Leafs. Leafs also claiming Sammy Blais off waivers from Montreal, and Colton Ellis claimed by the Buffalo Sabres from the St. Louis Blues. We are still scanning and waiting to see any information on Mikey DiPietro to see if he has been claimed by anybody. We will stay tuned for that. Hey, Zacharou. Quite a show so far. Lot to get to.
Yeah, has not really anything going on today. It's been an easy one.
We haven't talked about the Panthers, the Tampa Bay Lightning once.
I know. Insane.
And we're not going to have time.
Insane game.
Maybe we'll do it tomorrow. We'll do it tomorrow with Wish. We have a couple more things to get to here before we bid you good day. One, Ninja Crispy is back, and this time it is the Ninja Crispy question of the day, Zacharou.
Yes. Let's quick video from our friends at Ninja here before we get into the question of the day.
Meet the first of its kind, the Ninja Crispy Portable Cooking System. The power of a full-sized air fryer in the palm of your hand, so you can cook big or small batches. Just prep it, crisp it, serve it, and store it all in one.
Great for road trips. Meet the first of its kind, the Ninja Crispy portable cooking system. Now you have the power of a full-sized air fryer in the palm of your hand. Just prep it, snap it, crisp it, serve it, all in one container. The glass air fryer is PFSA free, thus no harmful chemicals while cooking. It includes a small 6-cup and large 4-quart Tempware container. Whether you're whipping up a quick single-serving meal in 7 minutes, sharing crispy snacks on the go, or serving a crowd, the Ninja Crispy makes it easy. Cleanup is simple. All accessories are dishwasher safe and designed to nest for easy storage. Check out the link in the episode description or go to sharkninja.ca. And this time around, for our friends at Ninja Crispy, we are doing the Ninja Crispy question of the day, which got blown up because of the Connor McDavid contract extension. So what do we got today, Zach?
Okay, so I changed it up quickly on the fly. That's what they pay me for here, Jeff. You know,
that's why
being
you make
agile,
that
moving, adapting.
Long, quiet money you have in your jeans. Not that noisy stuff that jangles around my pockets. You got that long, quiet green, son. That's good. That's good.
Exactly. So we switched this one up, did it on the fly here. Ninja question of the day. How do you feel about the Connor McDavid extension with the Edmonton Oilers? Surprise, surprise that's the direction that we went in here. Put it out on social media. Just a quick note for people in the future. If you do want to participate in these, we'll put them out during the day. You can fire off your answers, your thoughts, whatever it may be. So for today's question of the day, we received a couple responses, and I just kind of thought they were interesting, like a little thought-provoking here, Jeff. So the first one comes in from J-Rock. Everyone said McDavid is a one-of-one situation, yet he has a responsibility to the other players. That makes no sense. Same people also say that Kaprizov is greedy, but yet he doesn't get credit for raising the bar for the other players. It's a double standard that makes no sense. Just thought that
Kaprizov is not greedy, and I don't understand the criticism of McDavid needs to do what's quote-unquote right for the Players Association. Again, I'll go back to something I said earlier. I really don't like telling people what to do with their own business. It is our business to follow and use the information as discussion points and all that. But essentially, if Connor McDavid wants to sign for $12.5 million for the Edmonton Oilers, with the Edmonton Oilers, who the hell am I to tell him he shouldn't do that because he needs to do what's right for, checks notes, Jack Eichel? Or he needs to do what's right for, checks notes, Adrian Kempe. If he wants to do that to get what he wants, which is a Stanley Cup, and he figures that the Edmonton Oilers provide him with the best opportunity to win the Stanley Cup, who am I to step in and say, think of your union brethren and think about raising the tide for all ships, etc., insert cliche here. Really uncomfortable telling people what to do with their own business. McDavid wants to do that. More power to him. Kaprizov wants to sign for $17 million AAV and say, too bad, you don't lean on me to manage your cap, Billy Guerin. Fine. Good for him. All within their rights under the CBA to use. You want to try to squeeze every tiny nickel out of your career? You have the right to do that. And I understand careers are short and you want to try to grab every dime that you can. Every quarter under every cushion. You want to use it to say, you know what, I'm well compensated. I have, quote unquote, enough money. I want to win Stanley Cups. Do it. That's your thing. I'm fine with both. I'm fine with what Kaprizov did. I'm fine with what Connor McDavid did. I don't like telling people what to do other than you.
That's fair and expected. Also, J-Rock says in the chat, Colby has been banging the NHLPA drum. Not you, Jeff, just so we are clear.
I understand. Listen, I do understand the PA point of view, but that was that's the old PA. That was the combative PA. Right now you have with all due respect to the NHL Players Association, a very neutered PA. We're very comfortable with everything. And you saw this play itself out over the CBA negotiations, which got done relatively quickly because everyone just said, yeah, we're fine. Just rubber stamp essentially what we have. We'll massage a couple of things and change a couple of small details, but we're not going to take any big swings here. We're fine, and we don't have any appetite to fight because we know we can't win. It is in that way, very neutered Players Association.
So
but they feel they have enough money.
Even for the player, outside of the Players Association, the only thing that I wonder about is on a national stage, which we can debate this and whatever, have this conversation. It's a little bit of a ridiculous one, but the respect that you get from people outside when you say like, hey, the best player in this sport is being paid NBA bench player money or less, because the only thing is $12.5 million for McDavid, Jeff, is that number is so low. You know what I mean? Like when I was with you when we found out that number, and like just peek behind the curtain, like your face, like your eyebrows raised when you saw it, like stunned. And so was I when I saw the number too.
Everybody is.
And I think a lot of people are. It's so low. And if he did $14.5 million, nobody bats an eye. He's still doing the same thing. I'm not, and this argument, by the way, I'm not saying he should have done that. I'm just kind of getting to the point here of when people outside of this look at it, it's almost a little bit like, like the NHL, it's still like little brother league. Like their best player makes $12.5 million. There's no pushing the boundaries of that. Like people outside of the NHL are not being like, oh yeah, that Kaprizov guy has $17 million. Like that goes under the table. No one knows about that. It's the McDavid 12.5 outside where you're like, some eighth player now on the Toronto Raptors makes $12.5 million. What the hell are we doing here?
To me, that's a comment on where hockey's at and the nature of the salary cap and the 20% and the triple cap league and all these types of. I don't think it's Connor McDavid's obligation to be a wing of the marketing department of the NHL. If that's how they want their league perceived, then that's fine. Keep costs down. If they wanted to have, like, to what Colby was mentioning when he was on earlier. And that is, if you're so concerned about, the financial well-being of your athletes being part of the marketing division, have a luxury tax. Let the Rangers and the Maple Leafs and the Chicago Blackhawks and the Kings and everybody just like blow their brains, and that's fine. Detroit Red Wings, and we'll go back to where we were before. That's fine. Like I'm for a league like the NHL, I still do think like they need to have traveling all-star teams that are hated around the NHL. Like they need a New York Yankees. Like they need a team like that everybody hates, that just spends $1 kajillion every year trying to buy Stanley Cups. I think it's healthy to have a team like that specifically in hockey, but you're not going to get it with the salary cap league. But again, I come back to the same thing. Gary Bettman has one job, and that is franchise value, and these things are all worth $2 billion now. Mission accomplished.
As somebody very smart once told me.
What's that?
It's time to take the training wheels off the salary cap.
Take the training wheels off the salary cap. That's right. Another smart person also told you. Get off the table, Mabel. The $5 is for the beer.
I did.
Someone smart tell you that one too?
All right. And what else do we have on the show today?
Well, I'm glad you asked. We have a reminder of our favorite people around these parts, and that is our friends at FanDuel. The sheet is powered by FanDuel, home of the same game parlay. Make every moment more on FanDuel. FanDuel, proud to connect fans to the major sports moments that matter to them. Games tomorrow, Zach.
Games are tomorrow. But
where are you
before
going
we
today?
get to games tomorrow, because I don't want to be a little premature on the games tomorrow, so I'm just going to get extra premature here.
Okay.
Staying on the topic of the Edmonton Oilers, Connor McDavid, Stanley Cup odds for this year, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
Would you look at that? The Florida Panthers still on top, plus 750. The Dallas
How
Stars
can you
plus
have the
850,
Panthers
and
on top with the Barkov injury?
I don't know, but they are still getting the respect. Nothing has changed since the Walman extension, since the McDavid extension. Still tied for second, the Edmonton Oilers with the Dallas Stars plus 850.
Again, like to the point we made earlier, the McDavid and Walman extensions haven't made the Oilers better. It's just expanded their runway. That's all. But still, it's like you went to bed last night, you woke up this morning, you're going through your day. Both these things are now part of your hockey discussion points, but nothing's changed. They just have longer term on their contract now, but it's still the same. It's still the same team.
Yeah,
it feels different because there's a real momentum. Because holy smokes, look what McDavid has afforded us the luxury to do with this contract starting next year. But it's still the same team right now.
Yeah,
and it's good to get that
Florida
one done for the Oilers.
Number one is.
I don't know about that one, but then again, like look at number 2, the Dallas Stars. Man, and I say it every year, although this year I picked Vegas. How many times have I picked the Dallas? Have I picked the Dallas Stars to win the Stanley Cup more than I used to pick the San Jose Sharks? With Thornton, Marlowe, Pavelski, Boyle, all those guys were in their prime? I don't know. But Dallas is still right there, and they still might win it. All the necessary ingredients. Why not?
Yeah.
Anyhow. All right.
Well,
we sucked up a lot of oxygen.
Today, by the way.
What's that?
Leafs got their guy.
Sammy Blais or Caden Primo?
On the shows. Both work. They got their guy. I'm not worried.
You feeling good about it? Your team is a more well-balanced team, Zach. I will say that.
Agreed.
It's a more well-balanced team.
I was just making a joke. Yes,
I know. I heard, was it Colby Cohen this morning on Cuppa that thought that the Maple Leafs will still win the division?
Yeah, I think so.
I think Tampa.
I don't feel good about that.
I think Tampa wins the division. Tampa first, Leafs second? Tampa first, Montreal second? Leafs third, Montreal, Toronto, first round matchup. Can your blood pressure handle that one?
Oh.
I only became a sports fan to see how high I could get my blood pressure. That's what you have to understand here, doctor. That's the only reason I'm a sports fan.
Yeah.
All right.
Producer Rick says Tampa stinks.
Tampa looks good. We didn't even talk about that game. I talked a lot about it with Jason Greger on DFO Rundown. That one's available now on your favorites pod platform, podcatcher. Listen, thanks for joining us here, kicking off the week with the McDavid contract extension. We'll talk more about the extension tomorrow with Greg Wyshynski of ESPN, who stops by Tuesdays and Thursdays this year. On the program, we'll get further thoughts, I'm sure, Wednesday from Brian Burke when he makes his regular Wednesday appearance on the sheet. So we look forward to all of this. Thanks to Andrew Raycroft for being very flexible. Like going into Zach and I talking this morning, today's show was going to be about the Chara jersey retirement, and it was going to be about Florida and Tampa. And Razor was like completely accommodating with his schedule. We got Colby on, and we did half an hour on McDavid, and that was fantastic. And then Bob Stauffer graced us as well towards the end of the program. So we thank all those three gentlemen for stopping by today and sharing their expertise on things that they're expert about, most notably hockey. Bless them all. Thanks to Zach for a good job pretzeling yourself for 45 minutes. Just so you know, Zach, like that was fun from my little perch to watch you go into conniptions, 15 minutes before the show goes to air and the McDavid contract drops. And all I text, blow up the show, Zach. And there's so many different things that Zach is responsible for that if I were more talented, I could probably take some of the workload off his plate, but I'm not. So, Zach, once you put the show up and get all the social media clips and everything, all that done, take the rest of the day off.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. Now, I will say it was a fun one today, having to do that, move that quickly. Yeah. It was fun. Just ripping around basically for like an hour and a half straight. It was a lot of fun.
It was a good time. Thanks to everybody in the chat today. As always, we encourage you to subscribe here to the YouTube channel. Subscribe as well if you're listening on, Apple Pods, Spotify, etc., your favorite podcast platform. We appreciate all the interaction and the subscriptions. Thank you. We are back tomorrow with the sheet, 1 o'clock Eastern. Don't forget, Morning Cup of Hockey in the morning. Johnny Lazarus and Colby Cohen, 9 a.m. It is DFO Live as well at noon Eastern with Tyler Yaremchuk and Carter Hutton. Excellent show that is. And then our little chimp act here from 1 o'clock to 2-ish Eastern. And don't forget Wednesday, Daily Faceoff Insider Edition, Irfan Ghaffar and Dave Pagnotta. Looking forward to that one this Wednesday. That goes at 3 o'clock Eastern. Got it? Good. Tip the Zamboni driver. We're back tomorrow.